Oh, hello, Hayden. How are you doing? Doing pretty good. Doing some writing yourself. What you working on? Right now, I'm working on my. It'll either end up being a novella or a novel. Depends on how many words I get into it by the time I finish the plot. But we got like 2,002 chapters, so I don't know. We'll see where it ends up. But Sculpture Park. Your vampire apocalypse novella. You have 3 chapters left. Nice. That's cool. We were talking about that last stream you were here, weren't we? I remember. Getting close to the end, that's pretty good. I don't remember everything we were talking about. Yeah, I had. Oh, yeah, the issues with the sewer. You solved it. There's a subway line that runs under the street. Oh, yeah. Because it's LA. Oh, Sunway. Oh, yeah. But I think, does LA? I'm pretty sure LA has a subway line too, and that could work too. But yeah, repurposed. Yeah, I kind of feel that way too. Yeah, subway, Sunway, either or when you're talking about, vampires roaming the understreets. Boobot, that's right. I get one of them every now and then. Alrighty. Bye-bye. He's gone now. That one actually posted a link. Usually it's just that one stupid website they always tell you to go to, but they don't have the .com. They just go blank space com, and then it's nothing. They're getting bold. Yeah. The view botting epidemic. Honestly, I think the biggest issue with the view botting thing is that people can view bot streamers, and it's not just streamers themselves, you know? Because if it was just the streamers themselves, you could, put bad press about them, and maybe they'll change their ways. But then you have a popular streamer, and they're just doing their thing, and then someone else comes along and is like, I'm gonna put some view bots on them, and there's nothing they can do about that. And then that hurts the reputation of streamers, and so the small guys kind of get hurt because, I don't know, maybe you only have 1 or 2 people chatting in your chat, but you've got like 20 viewers and people are like, oh, it's fake, there's nothing going on. When you get new internet, you're gonna try a stream, so it's something to watch out for, I guess. True. I don't necessarily think the small guys, the small streamers, have to worry about being view botted. I don't know. I don't think there's anything interesting enough for like me to be view botted for. So, and it just kind of hurts a channel, I think, to view bot, especially when you're trying to grow organically. Like me, there's no point in me view botting because I know that there's no growth. Like I can see my viewers right now, and I see there's a guy in here, and I know it's you. But if I was view botting, I wouldn't be able to tell, and so I'm not interacting. That's part of how you grow. You gotta interact with the people who come to watch. It's what makes streaming so different from videos. Otherwise, you just watch videos people put out. But streaming, you can actually interact with everybody. Mm-hmm. Oh, which reminds me, I need to do the streamer thing. And do the self-promotion. You're already following me, but just in case anyone else comes in, gotta post the link tree. I really should do that at the beginning of stream. I'll have to remember to do that. Alrighty. I'd say the story is coming along pretty good. More outlining has been done for this story than I usually do. But for this one, instead of scattered ideas, I had more of a premise. And I guess that led more to an outline. But so far, it's actually turning out. It's coming along way better than I thought it. Benefits to outlining, I guess. So, yeah, right now I'm in chapter 2, working on Elias's point of view. It switches points of view between first person with Elias and third person with some of the other characters. That's neat. Oh, cool. Yeah, I like that it's neat. It's more because the main premise centers around Elias, which will have a big impact later in the story. The very ending climax part has a major twist, which requires Elias to have a first person narrative. Yeah, you don't see it often. That's fair. I haven't read that many first person books. They're different. I know, like, the first time you read a first person narrative after reading several third person narratives, it's kind of jarring a bit. And I think for a lot of people it may seem that way. But I don't know, I got used to it pretty quick. You can adapt, but I can't read first person if I'm not. If I'm writing third, because I'll start to slip. I get that. That makes a lot of sense. I couldn't. I don't think I could write first person if I was really switching between characters that were. First person really only works when you have one central character that the others kind of orbit around. You really need to have a strong protagonist. And I do find it kind of. I think it's easier when you do show the perspectives of other characters, they're in like third person. Because then you only actually have to worry about your protagonist. And then you're not essentially trying to flip flop the reader between different characters. Because some of the stuff I've read, I can't really think of any specific books, but what I remember is that like if you switch from what I've read, and this is the impression I've got, is that when you switch perspectives, but they're both first person, it kind of pulls you out a little bit because you're kind of in the mind of one character, but then the book kind of rips you out of that and then throws you into the mind of another character. Whereas when you only have one that's in first person, you can be like in the mind of the character for the most part. And then when it shows other characters, it just kind of shifts over a little bit to like another scene where you can see others. You usually only see dual first person in romance. Yeah, that. Huh. I don't read a whole lot of romance, but I think the couple of books I have read that have been like that, that's definitely where I've seen it the most. I'm not a big romance guy. Hard to write. Not very romantic. You don't either, but you wanted to research for a romance subplot? Yeah, not bad. Well, romance subplots are definitely interesting. Kind of thinking too, it's a good romance subplot that I remember. Uh, Mistborn has a romance subplot that I'd say is pretty good. Interesting though. I don't know. Yeah, Vin and Elle, good romance subplot. I hated the ending of the trilogy though. I read it and I was like, did you have to do that to both the protagonists? Did you have to do that, man? Well written, but like, did you have to do that? Like, you could have ended on a happier note, man. Why'd you have to do that? Yeah, he definitely puts them through a lot. And everything Kaladin's been through. Boy, that's some stuff. And a bunch of the other like Bridge 4 people. Ooh, you'll the backstories that come out and after Way of Kings, he kind of filters them in, and you're like, man, all of these people are so rough. Even there was a kind of a smaller story that Brandon wrote called The Many Lives of Stephen Leeds. I'm not sure how many people have read it. I think it was the first book of Brandon's that I ever read, interestingly enough. But in that book, it's a dude who has kind of a mental condition in which the different personalities in his head take the form of like other people that like talk to him and consult him. So like all of his knowledge, the things he knows and reads, take the form of other people. So like if he reads about law and stuff and reads a bunch of legal stuff, he'll have a persona that he talks to that is a lawyer and knows all of the information that he read. And like he's aware of all this. But like at one point he has to like kill off these personas because they're taking up too much of his mental capacity and they're kind of driving him a bit nuts. I don't know. That sounded a bit rough. You actually own that book, but you haven't read it? Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, it's a good book. It was one of the first books of Brandon's that I ever read. That and Steelheart. Those were my first exposure to Brandon. But yeah, I definitely recommend it. It's not a mainstream Sanderson novel, but it's definitely just as well written. Especially if you're not as much of a fantasy person. But I mean, you're writing a post-apocalyptic vampire novella, so I assume fantasy isn't a genre you're afraid of. It's also like a regular length book, which is better for some people getting into Brandon who don't want to read 300,000 words with the expectation of another like million words to finish out the series. But yeah, Brandon writes fast. You like fantasy, but you're intimidated to write it. Read all the Wheel of Time, but you do like standalones. I haven't read Wheel of Time yet. I'm kind of doing more smaller series, smaller and standalone books too. It's more that I see getting into the Wheel of Time as a. Oh, excuse me. I see getting in the Wheel of Time as like a big investment in my time, and I don't know. Yeah, I just feel like I can't make the commitment right now. 347 in around 45 minutes. So like 400 words per hour is kind of my writing pace right now. I think Brandon gets close to like 1,500 or 2,000, so hey, I'm like a third of the way to Brandon. Less than a third. Nah, it's fine. I don't mind you distracting me. Part of the whole point of writing and chatting is chatting as well. However, will you get people interested in what you're writing if you don't talk to them and get them interested in you and your writing? Also makes stream more interesting. Because sitting here in silence watching a guy type is not always the most interesting thing. That's why you keep your story up, because then you just ride along. Yeah, I think it's a great way to see writing streams is right along time with your favorite writing streamer. Have some nice background music. This is more creepy, but it fits the tone of the story I'm writing, so. Music is great for yours right now. 4 characters gearing up to take the big bag, driving through a burning and dead city. That's sick. I'm glad it fits the vibe. have to deal with the sick kiddo? Be back? Alright. Take care of yourself and take care of the sick kiddo. Oh, hey Pleb, welcome in. How you doing? Good, good. I'm glad you're doing well. What's the current work? Uh, I've called it Sculpture Park, but it's probably working out to be a novella right about now. We'll see how many words it has by the time I finish it. but this is more of a longer project. It's a mystery thriller about a killer who he kills individuals who have sort of wiggled their way around justice. And the main character is a profiler named Elias. And I'm writing it in sort of two different perspectives. One is first-person perspective with Elias, and then the other is third person with any of the other characters. So, right now I'm first person with Elias, and they're at the crime scene. You're writing a pirate story. Nice, nice. Pirate stories are pretty good. I should read more pirate stories. Maybe that's something I should look at to put on my to-be-read list. There's more stories about pirates. Oh no, I'm not showing up. I didn't realize that. What's going on? Oh, okay. I must have hit a button. My music has fully stopped. That's alright. We'll put on some different ones. Do I like jelly beans? I do. What an interesting question for a first-time chatter. Hello, Irving. Thanks for the follow. You love jelly beans. Well, jelly beans are great for Easter, I think. I've loved them for quite a while. And as Easter is in just under 20 minutes, depending on where you live, you got manga for Easter. I haven't got any manga for Easter, but I do have a couple manga that I'm reading through right now. Perhaps you know of it. Death Note. Fantastic if I do say so myself. And I'm not even halfway through the manga and it's already peak. I can't believe I haven't read it sooner. Genuinely one of the best things I've ever read. It's absolutely fantastic. You just started One Piece. Oh. If you get hooked, well, I guess that's gonna be a long one for you. I haven't got into One Piece So, I don't know. People say it's pretty good. I don't know. I haven't seen it, so. Then either Jim or Berserk. My brother's read Berserk. He said it's pretty good. Oh, JJK. I thought about watching the anime for JJK. What am I writing? Well, this is a story. I'm planning on, it's probably going to be either a novella or a novel, depends on how many words I put into it. But it's a mystery thriller story from the perspective of a profiler named Elias about a serial killer known as the Sculptor who kills and poses people who have wiggled their way out of justice. So it's told in two different perspectives. One is first person with Elias, and the other is third person with all the other characters. So Elias is pretty pivotal to this story. So that's why he gets the first person perspective. You make video games, so sometimes you make stories. Yeah, I guess it depends on the game. Some games are pretty good with stories. But, you know, not every game has to be about stories. Is your writing mainly focused on, I guess, stories for video games, or do you tend to write outside that? Or I guess what I should ask, are you mainly a video game developer, or are you mainly a writer? Because I guess those two are distinct enough that I guess it would make a difference to how you tell stories. Not that either is a bad thing. There are definitely some good stories to be told through video games. Write scripts, those take like 4 to 6 months and are like 500 pages. That's pretty in-depth, I gotta say. That's quite a bit of writing. Quite a bit of story. What you're working on right now? pirate video game where you choose your own crew and it's open world. Been working on it for like 5 years, but you don't think you'll finish it. Well, it does sound pretty, how do I say this, quite the workload. Sounds like quite a lot of work, like AAA level work. But for an indie dev, that's, oof, that's awful lot. Dr. Rice needs to say if he likes jelly beans. That's a good question. Would Dr. Rice like jelly beans? He's a pretty joyous individual, which is interesting given that he's, well, granted I made him like that. I made him a joyous individual, which I thought was kind of fitting for him. He's the medical examiner in this story, so he's quite a joyous individual given his main job is cutting open dead people. Which, if that's your thing, it's your thing. And it's definitely Dr. Rice's thing. But would he like jelly beans? Now that's a question I hadn't really considered for Dr. Rice. I guess the question would be more of a, is Dr. Rice a chocolate man, or is he a regular type of candy man? And to that, I would probably have to say, oh, he holds out his hand and asks, do you like jelly beans? I like that. I think I might put that in the story. Not here, but like a further along scene where they're in, like, they're about to go into the medical suite at the morgue, and he offers them a few jelly beans before the autopsy. Although I think he might be more of a chocolate individual. You need credit in the last page. Alrighty. Irving 08 980. There we go. I'm back. There we go. Now I just need to put it in a note for later in the story. And I've disappeared again. Wonderful. And I'm back. Alrighty. That's kind of the one issue. I'll genuinely buy the book for that reason. Well, when I finish it, I think I'll put it on Amazon. I don't have an Amazon link yet. I don't know, I haven't written anything long enough for Amazon yet. Maybe all my short stories I can put into a collection to put on Amazon. But what do you use to write? Microsoft Word, usually. Sometimes Google Docs, but I prefer Word. It's a pretty good program. I think most people who write by hand in journals, that's, yeah. Only thing that I've written by hand a little bit, but Microsoft Word is just easier for me to move things around and delete things than it is in a journal. Otherwise, I'd have to be ripping out pages and flipping things around. I don't always write in the most linear fashion. Have you ever played Red Dead Redemption 2? I have not. I don't have a computer strong enough to play those AAA games. It's mostly smaller titles and indies for me. I'd love to be able to save up for a good computer. Could have a nice streaming setup. Part of the reason I'm a PNG tuber, because full stream setup with a full model setup would be a little bit too taxing on my equipment. You've read so many books, but that is the only story that has affected me like it did. Maybe I'll have to look into that. More like watching a YouTube video on the story of Red Dead Redemption. Because playing the game isn't really that much of an option, but I can definitely take time to take like 50 hours to beat. Yeah. Yeah, that's quite a lot. And again, I'm saying that I've sunk probably 100 hours into Hollow Knight, so... And that was just on my first playthrough. So... It took you 74 to finish? Man. Oh... Now I'm thinking of how many hours of Mario Kart I've played. I've probably played thousands of hours of Mario Kart now that I think about it. That's wild. I've probably spent over a week of my life just playing Mario Kart. You know, when you put things in perspective like that, it's kind of wild. But I don't think I've ever regretted that week of Mario Kart. So, how much time have you played Minecraft for? I've definitely sunk quite a few hours into Minecraft. Not as much as Mario Kart. Mario Kart I tend to play with friends and family, but Minecraft, I don't know. I probably sink more into that, but no one else I know has Minecraft, so Minecraft's a solo game for me. It's a stream idea though, Minecraft stream. I've debated about setting aside a day of the week to have like a gaming stream and the rest be writing streams, but I don't stream often enough. I think need to put a few more streams out per week. You like Snickers? Well, Snickers are pretty good. I'd say they're pretty solid candy. What's your favorite book? See, for me, that's kind of a tough question because I've read so many books that I like, and it'd be easier for me to choose different authors that I prefer their books, because then I could actually narrow it down. You know? You like Red Rising? I haven't read Red Rising. I've heard it's good. But, Red Rising's Pierce Brown, isn't it? That wasn't the one I was looking into. It was the other one. I confused Red Rising with some other... Confused Pierce Brown with one of the other guys who writes good fantasy novels. Auerbach, maybe? That might be who I'm thinking of. Oh, hi Hayden. How you doing? Welcome back. Irving has joined the stream. We've been talking quite a bit. You're a big fan of Between Two Fires. I haven't read that one either. Irving likes jelly beans. So do I. They're pretty good. He had a suggestion to have Dr. Rice offer jelly beans to the characters, so... Will be on sale Monday in the US, yeah. Day after Easter. All the Easter candy goes on sale. Same for after Halloween. But after Halloween, they literally just put up all the Christmas stuff. So... I'm not sure how much the candy really disappears so much as made to look like Christmas candy. You live right next to Hershey, Pennsylvania? Interesting. Hershey, Pennsylvania makes the most candy of any place. That wouldn't surprise me, considering the Hershey factory there. Definitely sounds like a fact someone near Hershey, Pennsylvania would know. Hershey owns Hershey's, Reese's, Kit Kat, Jolly Rancher, Twizzlers, Skinny Pop, Dots Pretzels, Pirate's Booty, Cadbury, and Icebreakers. Really? They own Cadbury? I thought Cadbury was its own thing. I guess not. I thought Reese's was a competitor. Huh. The only fun fact for my town is there was a sheriff that went on a cannibalistic revenge spree. That's quite the fun fact. Although, how fun that fact is a bit debated. Yeah, bro, what is definitely a valid response to that. That I'm halfway between like that's crazy, man, and you gotta tell me more. Like I don't know, Liver Eating Johnson. It's his nickname. Oh my gosh. Wait, it's not that Liver King guy, right? Because if it is, that'd be even wilder. Yeah, that's definitely man. Liver Eating Johnson. That's such a good like wild killer nickname too. His full name is John Johnson. Bro, this is like this dude sounds like the most perfect stereotypical whack job books like book murderer you could think of. Like one of those cheesy dime store novels. And it's John Johnson, the liver eater cannibalistic sheriff. But like this is a real dude, apparently, allegedly, as far as I know. Pattonburg, New Jersey. Is that where he's from? I'm gonna look this up. Liver eating. Oh. So either Microsoft is spying on me because I typed in liver eating and the word Johnson popped up and literally nothing else. Okay. That's kind of creepy. Literally liver eating, and these are the results. Liver eating Johnson, Johnson Mountain Man, Johnson Book, Johnson Grave. How are these like? That's Microsoft. Stop it. Spying on me is not something you should be doing. Either that or this guy is way too popular. Saturday marks the 50th anniversary of the reburial in Cody, Wyoming. John Jeremiah Johnson. Oh, so he's got those three names. John Jeremiah Johnson. And a film character. 1824 near Pattonburg, New Jersey. Died 1900 in Santa Monica, California. Dude lived to 76 or 75 and a half. He lived in Montana for a time. Yeah, Alder Gulch, Montana. He also became a wood hawk, supplying cord wood to steamboats. Occupation Mountain Man. Huh. Allegedly, his wife was a member of the Flathead American Indian tribe. Was killed by a young Crow man and his fellow hunters, which prompted Johnson to embark on a vendetta against the tribe, where he supposedly killed and scalped more than 300 Crow Indians and then devoured their livers to avenge the death of his wife. Yeah, bro, indeed. That's quite the crash out. Accounts say that he would cut out and eat the liver of each crow he killed. One tale ascribed to Johnson is that while on a foray of over 500 miles in the winter to sell whiskey to his Flathead kin, he was ambushed by a group of Blackfoot warriors. Blackfoot planned to sell Johnson to the Crow. He was stripped to the waist, tied with leather thongs, and put in a teepee with one guard. He managed to break through the straps, then knocked out the guard with a kick, took his knife, and scalped him. He escaped into the woods and fled to a cabin that belonged to his trapping partner, a journey of about 200 miles. Get a man like Liver Eating Johnson. Pick a character from one of your other books in this one. Man, this is quite the character. Technically, public domain. You could use him. You could write about him in a story that was fictional. Maybe this was who Chuck Norris was in a previous life. You know? Liver Eating Johnson. The previous life of Chuck Norris. Colson, Montana, where he was a deputy sheriff, eventually was absorbed into Billings, Montana, which is the closest city to where you live. You love Liver Eating Johnson, but not as much as you love jelly beans. Would Liver Eating Johnson like jelly beans? I hear they make the joke Jelly Bellies in liver flavor. Maybe he would. Hold on a minute. A bronze statue of Liver Eating Johnson erected over his grave at Old Trail Town in Cody, Wyoming. Bruh. There's a statue of him. That's wild. Man, the Old West is full of such wild characters. Well, he died in Santa Monica, California, and was buried in a Los Angeles Veterans Cemetery. But in 1974, after a 6-month campaign by 25 7th grade students and their teacher, who do not believe he should be laid to rest among urban sprawl, they were relocated to Cody, Wyoming. That's kind of wild. Liver-eating cannibal sheriff relocated to Cody, Wyoming from Los Angeles due to 25 7th grade students saying we want him to be free in the West. and not have his remains among the urban sprawl. There's a movie made about him, starring Robert Redford. That's crazy. This dude I've never heard of has a film about him that stars Robert Redford. Positive reviews, box office success, earning $44 million against a budget of $3.1 million, making it the 5th highest grossing film of 1972. Well, what do you know? You learn a new thing every day. In this case, it's about liberating Johnson. You think that gif of the guy slowly giving a thumbs up is from there? The one with the leather jacket and the bushy beards? And the bushy beard. I thought you were talking about like the computer kid thumbs up gif, but why can't I think of the gif with man with beard giving thumbs up? Now that I've said it aloud, Microsoft will probably know what I'm looking for. GIF of man with beard giving thumbs up. The Heineken guy? Oh, Jeremiah Johnson GIF. Oh, it's this one? This is from that movie? Huh. Wait a minute. Yes. Will Gear. Plot or cast. See, I thought like, that guy seems familiar, but I don't know what his name is. He looks like the guy in the Hangover movies. Yeah. He looks like the guy that does the Between Two Ferns interviews. Ryan something? Ryan Johnson, maybe? Why can't I? How interesting. It is kind of fun when you find a meme in the wild, I guess you could say. Like when you're watching a movie and then the Leonardo DiCaprio pointing meme, that, but it's a meme in the wild in its original context. You're like, oh look, it's a thing. Glad you could spread some knowledge. I'm glad you told me. I've never heard of Liver Eating Johnson before. And now I know he's quite the character. Quite the character. Like, if somebody had told me this was some wild fictional character they created, I would have believed them, because this sounds way outlandish. But he's real. History every day continues to surprise, you know? Is history itself the enemy of the fiction author? Because anything they could ever hope to think of already has something crazier that has happened in reality. Fiction writers have no chance. A 100%. Yeah. I don't have... Ooh. I do have a story. I haven't worked on it in a while. It's not one of my main projects. It's more an idea that I kind of tinkered with for a little bit. But it's set in an Old West fantasy type scenario. I could have a wild man like that appear. It'd be more one of those chance encounters, because he couldn't be an antagonist. Someone like Liver Eating Johnson isn't necessarily a protagonist or an antagonist. He's one of those wild, legendary side characters that just appears, does something crazy, and then may or may not progress the plot along. But you could definitely have someone be a local legend in the book, or just a legend in general. And let the characters encounter. I think I'll make a note of that. Where's my notes document? I know I got a notes document around here somewhere. Don't you know that there's Liver Eating Johnson? Yeah, the wildest character that ever did live. He'd be like one of those side characters like you recruit in a video game. And it's like you gotta spend the investment time, but then once you do, it's like you've got that wild loose cannon on the team that you can kind of just employ. Oh, hello, Duncan. We've been having quite the conversation about Liver Eating Johnson. You ever heard of him? No. Well, you see, Liver Eating Johnson is quite the character. You see, he was a deputy sheriff in a small Montana town. However, early in his life, or well, I wouldn't say early in his life, but you know, when he was almost 30, his wife was killed by his wife, who was a member of the Flathead Indian tribe, was killed by a rival tribe man and his fellow hunters, which prompted Johnson to go on a bit of a revenge spree, shall we say, in which he allegedly killed and scalped more than 300 Crow Indians and devoured their livers as a penance for killing his wife, which is quite a bit. Yeah, there is also a movie about him starring Robert Redford, of all people. And it was the 5th highest grossing film of 1972. The more you know. Imagine a star going across the screen. Da da da. Da 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 da. The more you know. Irving mentions a fact about their city. You fire back with one of your own, and here you are, yep. Irving lives near Hershey, Pennsylvania, which apparently makes quite a lot of candy. And then Hayden fired back with, have you ever heard of Liver Eating Johnson? And that's how we got here. Yep. Yep, that indeed. That's how we got here. It is quite the jump. Alright. Note on Liver Eating Johnson has been made. Your city is where the Titanic left from. Your flat is inside what used to be the house of an officer that died on it, if that counts as interesting. That definitely counts as interesting. Man, everybody's got such interesting facts. That would mean you live in Ireland, I think. I think it was Ireland that was the last departure point. Somewhere in Great Britain. Or those two islands. Because Great Britain doesn't fully encapsulate Ireland, but Southampton, yes, that's right. That's the name that sounds familiar. When I don't know if anyone else has a similar experience, but when I was younger, I learned about the The Titanic. South Coast of England, yeah, that's right. Yeah. But, yeah, I learned about the Titanic at one point when I was really young. And then I became somewhat obsessed with it. I had to learn all there was about the Titanic. And so I actually got kind of into it. I remember quite a lot of stuff. It's a rite of passage. All young men who must learn about the Titanic. Do you know the pool on the Titanic is still full of water? It's quite the coincidence. Oh, well, and of course, there was the less than submersible that went down a couple years ago. Or maybe I should say extra submersible, because, well, it was quite good at submersing. Not quite good at the other thing that it's supposed to do, but it was quite good at submersing. Now that's a story of hubris if I've ever heard one. Everything coming out after that news broke, and it was like everyone who was actually in the know was like, oh yeah, you could see this coming from a mile away. You got super into the Northwest Passage as a kid? Interesting. There was, I can't remember. I'm confusing whoever sailed the Northwest Passage with someone else. The guy I have in my mind is Ernest Shackleton, who I know wasn't the guy who sailed the Northwest Passage. He was the guy who went south to Antarctica and somehow managed to save all of his crew despite getting locked in the ice for like 2 years. That's also quite a story. Although I do know the guy who like discovered the Northwest Passage like died before he could make it back. From what I remember. Well, supposedly the Northwest Passage is going to become a bit more relevant to the world at large. Because as the Arctic ice recedes somewhat, shipping lanes will open. And then the north coast of Canada and Greenland will become more attractive to international trade and thus geopolitical conflict. Sir John Franklin. And the US is worried about Russia taking it over. Yeah. I think that's one of the reasons they're trying to grab Greenland. Because when all the ice melts, Greenland's got a perfect spot to watch everybody that goes through. Although with how much Russia has not really done a whole lot in Ukraine, I'm not sure why everyone is so worried about Northwest Passage. But I guess the actual submarines, the ones that sneak around and can actually submerge, instead of going to the Titanic in a plastic bubble. Those ones are the scary ones that could just sneak through all the time that everyone would be worried about. Being in a real submarine scares me. I don't like being in small spaces and trapped in them. That makes sense. I think most people have a natural inclination towards claustrophobia. I'm not opposed to tight spaces. Or, well, I guess I should say I'm not afraid of tight spaces, unless I can't get out of it. So for me, I'd say it's less a fear of small spaces and more a fear of being trapped. Thalassophobia. That's an interesting word. Gonna look that up. I've never heard that one before. Thalassophobia is the persistent and intense fear of deep bodies of water, such as the ocean, seas, or lakes. Huh. That's interesting. Can't do the cave crawling thing, and I get queasy thinking about it. I've actually been in quite a few caves. I think caves are pretty neat and fantastic. I've never done any deep crawling through them, but I've taken quite a few cave tours, and they haven't really bothered me. Makes for some very funny Sea of Thieves clips. Yeah. The fear of deep water does make sense. I mean, I don't think many people have actually truly been, like, far out to sea. Like, I'm sure plenty of people have been, like, in a boat, like, on the ocean, but, like, within sight of land, you know? But it's like when you get, like, out of sight of land, that, and that's when the real power of the ocean can just kind of take hold. Like, I'm thinking of the clips I see online of people walking on the boats, but they're at like a super sharp angle because the boat's tipping so much. Those are wild to see. And I would definitely understand people who are afraid because of that. It'd probably be a lot scarier actually being in it than just watching clips, for me at least. But I've never been out on the open ocean to where I can't see land, so nope. The clips probably quite a bit too, yeah. Yeah, makes sense. Oh, hello, Frogger. How are you doing? We've been talking about quite a few things. Some fears, some interesting individuals, and the fun facts. Ever heard of liver-eating Johnson? I'm glad you're doing good, Frogger Boop. You have a very odd phobia to some people. Oh, hey. Thanks for the follow. Why didn't it show up on the screen? That's kind of strange. Usually, it shows up usually like here on this screen. Why didn't it show up on my just chatting screen? That's interesting. I'm supposed to have it on there. I don't know why it didn't work. Huh. No, yeah. It's something I can always fix later. And I'd probably have to get a new alert anyways. That's something I could look into too. It's just the default heart. So you have an odd phobia. You mind telling us or nah? Your phobia is called myrmecophobia. Myrmecophobia. I'm gonna look that one up too. Picture of an ant is what popped up. The inexplicable fear and hatred of ants. It's a type of specific phobia. This fear can manifest itself in several ways, such as a fear of ants contaminating a person's food supply or a fear of a home invasion by large numbers of ants. It's common for those who suffer from this phobia to also have a wider fear of insects in general, as well as spiders. That is definitely a unique one. I haven't heard of that one before. Hey, at least it's not a fear of long words, which is itself a long word. Because, well, we're in the reading and writing section of Twitch. We're writing and chatting today. So if you had that fear, this would probably be the wrong place. So thank goodness. I don't even remember how to pronounce that. Oh yeah. Hippopotamonstros equipedaliophobia is the fear of long words. Very hard to pronounce. Very long. Yeah, that's why people think it's strange, because you'll pick up spiders and roaches with no fear, but one ant and you're screaming in the other direction. Yeah, that is interesting. Well, good thing you're a writer too. Nice. The human mind is definitely a fickle thing. Very strange. Although, it sounds like you don't have a fear of other insects, as Wikipedia told me that the fear of ants had. So that's possibly makes you even more unique. Hmm. You know where your phobia originated. Oh, that's interesting. That sounds traumatic, though. I don't want to dig up any harsh memories. In other news, my music has stopped. However, I do have another one. Are you fine with talking about it? Well, it's up to you. If you'd like to, then I think we've got a couple interested parties. I know we've been sharing a bunch of fun things tonight, so what's a one more? You're definitely in good company. And the music is back. And we also have a bot. Informal backdoor. Yes, boo the bot. Bad bot. We don't like you, bot. Go away. And he's gone. Silence, Clanker. Just imagine a little 5-year-old girl who'd eat in her room all the time, to the point of ants being everywhere. Oh. And then one night you go to bed and wake up head to toe covered in them. Oh boy. That, oof. Wow. Okay, yep, that, you know, that's, yeah, that's very reasonable. That doesn't really seem as much as a phobia, because phobias tend to be, like, unreasonable, and that is very, very reasonable. Uh, I think I've got an emote from this. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that's... Man, that's quite the experience. I bet you don't eat in your room on the floor all the time anymore. I know, for one thing, that'd make me clean up quite a bit. It doesn't help that my family is a face your fears type. So whenever they see ants, they try and get me to clean them up, which absolutely terrifies you. Oh no. Yeah. I mean, exposure therapy is usually a good way to treat fears. But honest, some ways are better than others. Sorry if you're rambling. I don't think you're rambling. I think you're just fine. Yeah, it does need to be handled correctly. Especially since you mentioned you were like 5 years old. And young children tend to have deeply, deeply ingrained feelings and fears. So, like, the younger you ingrain something into yourself and into your psyche, the more it will affect you as an adult, and the longer it will stay with you, and the harder it will be to remove, in a way of speaking. if I remember correctly, there was a study of, this was back in like the 60s, 70s, so back when like the psychological studies weren't very ethical. But some psychologist took a child and they wanted to see how fear came around in children. So like every time the child was like near a specific animal, they'd give a little electric shock to this toddler. So that way it would feel a little bit of pain and thus dislike the animal. And then like 40 years later, when they found the person who had been the toddler in the study, all their family remarked that, yeah, they had a extreme fear of this type of animal for as long as they could remember. Yeah, they even recorded it on film, yeah. I don't think they published it. I think when people heard about it, they were like, yo, this is screwed up. And they kind of forced him to bury it. Yeah, I remember seeing a video about it, but so yeah, it would make sense if your fear of ants is deeply, deeply ingrained if you acquired it around 5 years old, so. But yeah, if you really want to get past it, there are probably some ways. Your bio mom has ophidiophobia, and she told me of a time when she went over to her friend's house when younger, unknowing of their pet snake, and when her friend brought it out, she didn't run. Instead, yanked the lamp out and started literally whipping the snake. Wow. Alongside her friend with the wires that she yelled from the top of the couch. It's okay, I don't mind the long response. It's a lot of information to learn and find out. Quite interesting. I like having some new information. And another new phobia to put into the search engine. Ophid. OPHIDIO phobia. Fear of snakes, sometimes called by the more general term herpetophobia, or fear of reptiles, comes from ancient Greek ophis, snake, and phobia, fear. Fear of snakes seems, well, not to... You have a valid reason for having a fear of ants, but fear of snakes seems more reasonable to sort of be ingrained, because snakes tend to have, well, snakes tend to be a little bit more malicious to people than ants do, you know? Mainly because quite a few snakes are venomous. And are not fun to get bit by. So humans have sort of developed the don't get near that thingy. No, danger noodles, yeah. She can't even look at images of them. That's pretty strong. Is it stronger than your fear of ants? Like, can you look at an image of an ant, or is it like a? Because there's levels. I took a course on entomology, and there's like different levels. There's like the live animal. There's uh, like dead of the animal, and then there's like a model of the animal, and then there's like an image of the animal, and they're like different levels of like exposure that some people are okay with, because like some people are fully okay with like holding like the living animal, and touching it, that sort of thing. Some people are just okay with looking at dead ones. Like they'll be scared if it's an alive one, but they know if it's like a dead one, then they're okay with it. I was taking a walk one day, and in the middle of the road was a rattlesnake. Yeah, just gave him wide berthing and left you alone. Yeah, snakes tend to be aware, and unless you get to, at least in North America, the rattlesnakes they'll leave you alone if you leave them alone. But you can talk about ants, but images of them put you off enough to the point of you avoiding them, but not as bad as your biological mother. Interesting. So yeah, that'd be like that first level. Images of ants make you uncomfortable. Which, not your fault. Being covered in ants, waking up covered in ants is definitely a traumatic experience for a 5-year-old. When I was younger, I didn't fully understand her fear of snakes being the same as your fear of ants, so you thought it was funny. Ooh. Yeah, that probably caused some tension. Not a phobia, but you have a friend who cannot stand being near to or touched by bananas. Now that is curious. What about other kinds of fruit? Is it just bananas? Or is it other kinds of fruit? Oh yeah, good question, Frogger. Is it like not even banana bread? Because it could be, maybe they're like allergic, you know? And maybe they like smell it and they're like, eh, you know? To the extent that she once threatened to make her fiance airtight with said bananas if he did not put them away from her. Just bananas. No allergies, just hates them. That is strange. Fear of ants. Like in general, like a general fear of ants, not Frogger's special reason for having a fear of ants, but like if general fear of ants seems reasonable compared to fear of bananas. Or is it, I guess, is it more fear or is it just hatred? I guess there is a distinction there. Because if she's not afraid of bananas but just absolutely hates them, that's even more confusing. There was a girl you knew that hated bananas, and you worked together in an industrial bakery that made banana bread. That may be different. I don't know. I don't know the exact circumstances of that. Your Nana's mom was abusive and made her eat moldy fruit, so she avoided eating them ever since you were born. You know, that makes more sense. Oh wait, no, we're talking about different people. It's Duncan's person that's afraid of bananas. But that's forced to eat moldy fruit. That's rough. Oh, we're all green in chat. Yeah. Yeah, on my end, everyone's green. I see. Well, I have it kind of different because in my Twitch, I can see that everyone's green. Duncan is a sort of tealish color, a dark teal. Hayden's a dark green, and Frogger's a lighter green. But in my OBS, Duncan's a light green, Hayden's still a dark green, but Frogger's a yellow. Quite interesting. Apparently she ate so many bananas as a kid. Excuse me. Had a switch just flipped and now she can't stand bananas. Frogger's red for you. Interesting. Hayden has all green people. I have mostly green people in Twitch and then one yellow person in OBS. Oh, you have viewers set to a custom color. That explains a lot. That also explains why you're consistent between Twitch and OBS. You're heading to bed? Well, bye, Froggy, or Frogger. Bye. Have a good night. Have some good rest. It's actually now's about a good time. I actually maybe wind down the stream. So been live for over 2.5 hours. But yeah, I don't know. Any suggestions, guys, on people I should raid? I'll have to take a look. Oh, there's over 234 viewers in the reading and writing section. That's a lot more than usually show or hear. Maybe it's because someone named Poop Witch has 96 viewers. Wow. They're reading some smutty things by the name. Look at the title. It's officially morning and now I have to fight my PDA. Ah, well. Yeah, Poop Witch. Yeah. Interesting name. Wonder who we should raid. There's a guy reading 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Nerdarine is chill. He's just chatting now. Yeah, I don't know, I thought I'd raid someone in reading and writing just because I don't know. I'll read The Guy Reading 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. It's a pretty good book. Oh, wrong button. I need to click raid. Ah, yes. Jomsy. Alrighty. Start raid. I actually gotta ride in through with you. Alrighty. I do got a raid emote. Hey, there we go. Have a great night. Thanks for streaming. Yeah, you're welcome. I think this emote only works in my channel though. But have a great night, Hayden. Have a great night, everyone else who watched. See ya. I don't actually have a good stream schedule, but see you in the future. Goodbye. I clicked the raid now button. Did that do anything?
On the Borderlands.